All right, class, welcome to lesson 3-6. And as always, let's start by reviewing our learning target or our objective. And today, our learning target is I can subtract numbers up to 1,000 using the expand and trade method. So that's the method that we're going to be learning today. We first need to focus on this part called expand. So we're going to be taking a look at a few examples of just that part first. You have to be able to do this before you can do the next part, so it's really important that you listen carefully. We have to learn now how to write numbers in expanded form. And if we look over here, we've defined expanded form is simply writing a number by separating ones, tens, and hundreds. We're going to look at an example with the number 67. I'm going to be using place value blocks over here using our e-toolkit to demonstrate how we're going to rewrite 67. So if we look at the number 67, I'm going to show you how we make that number using these base 10 blocks. So in the number 67, we have 7 ones. So I'm going to select 7 ones. So that represents the ones place. And then we have 6 tens, and the 10 sticks are these place value blocks that are right in the middle. We have ones, tens, hundreds, and thousands. So now that we've got our 7 ones, we're going to look at the number of tens that we have. And if we look over here, we have 6 tens in the tens place. So now we're going to use and do 6 tens into our number model over here. So we have number 6, and we have 6 tens. Now when we rewrite this number in expanded form, as I said, we're going to be separating the tens and the ones, and if we had hundreds, we'd separate those. So first we're going to write this number model starting with the largest value, and in this case it's tens because we don't have any hundreds. So I look at this, and there is 6 tens, but I'm going to look at what the value is. And if we look at the value here, we can see that there are 6 tens, which would have a value of 60, because I can count by my tens, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. 6 tens, 60. Now we're going to look at the value of 7 ones, and we have the value of 7. This whole number would be represented by 60 plus 7, and we can see 60 plus 7 would equal 67. So this is the portion here underlined in green of how we write a number in expanded form. And we looked at the number 67. So we wrote 67 in expanded form, breaking apart the tens and the ones, separating them by an addition symbol. Let's take a look at another example. This next example is the number 327. So we're again using base 10 blocks. We have this time though 3 hundreds, so I put in 3 groups of 100. We have 2 tens, because there's a 2 in the tens place. The tens place being right here. So we put a 2 in the tens place. And we have 7 ones. So I go, how many? 7, and we have 7 ones. So again, we're going to write this number in expanded form. And I look at first, how many hundreds do I have? I have 3. I count the value of them. 100 plus 100 plus 100 is 300. Plus how many tens we have? Each one of these is worth 10. So 10 plus 10 is 20. Plus 20, and we have 7 ones plus 7. So if we look carefully, the number 327 broken into expanded form. The 3 in the hundreds place has a value of 300. The 2 here in the tens place has a value of 20. And the 7 here in the ones place has a value of 7. So that's why we first write the number in expanded form and before we can expand and then trade. So you must be able to take a number like 327 and write it this way. All right, class, now we're going to fully commit. We're going to look at and we're going to do the expand and trade method. So we just learned how to expand a number. The first thing that we're going to need to do is get our problem set up correctly. And to do so, we're going to stack it. I'm purposefully writing on the left side here because I'm going to need space to my right to solve. So it's important that when you get these problems set up that you leave space to your right. You'll see why in a moment. So I'm going to stack it. 247 minus 186. So my first step to stack it is done. What I need to do now is expand each one of these numbers, making sure when I do that the hundreds stay lined up, the tens will stay lined up, and the ones will stay lined up. So now I'm going to expand 247, and I'm going to write that in a different color now to show that second step. So 247 is 200 plus 40 plus 7. Even when I say it, when I read that number, you're going to hear how it gets expanded. Listen, 247, 247. You even see each one of these parts, so that's a good strategy when expanding them. Now we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to say and read the number out loud because it's going to help me. I'm going to expand 186. Notice how when I said that out loud and I wrote it down, it allowed me an easier opportunity to hear how the number's supposed to sound. Now we're going to subtract. Now that we've got the number written in expanded form. So now that we're going to subtract, I want you, as you're watching, I want you to be thinking, like, where is this trading coming into place? I see how it is expanded. How are we going to trade? So keep that in mind and be ready to watch for that. So as we're solving, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm looking at my ones, and I'm going to do 7 minus 6. And 7 is a larger number, so I know I can take 6 away from it. I count up 6, 7. I know 7 minus 6 equals 1. Since I know 7 minus 6 equals 1, I can move on to my next step. So a lot of what I like to do is I would cross out lightly each number model while I go. I'm now going to be focusing on the tens column, and I have 40 minus 80. And I'm thinking, wait a second, can I take away 80 from 40? And when I'm thinking about that, I realize that I cannot do that. I don't have enough. So this is where the trade comes into place, and I want you to watch here carefully. Since I do not have enough, 40 I cannot take away 80 from, I need to trade from my hundreds. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a group of 100 from 200. So I'm going to cross out 200. I'm going to give 40 one more 100, which is going to make it 140 now. Since I took 100 away from 200 here, I did 200 and I took away 100. Now this becomes 100. I took the 100 away from 200, watch that again, and I gave it to the tens place over here. So now we have 140. Can I take away 140, and can I do minus 80? And I can. So I'm thinking I'm going to count up from 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140. So I see that 140 minus 80 equals 60. Again, I don't want you to be fooled by these addition signs. This is the true operation that we're doing. We're subtracting the whole time. So I know that 60 is my answer. Now I'm going to move on, and since I've subtracted the ones, I've subtracted the tens. Now I'm going to subtract the hundreds. When I'm looking there, I'm doing 100 minus 100 because I don't have 200 anymore. I gave it to the tens. 100 minus 100 equals 0. I got to wrap up my problem now. 0 plus 60 plus 1 equals 61. We return our number back to standard form, how you normally see numbers. So I'm going to rewrite my answer below. And one step before I go on, if you don't estimate beforehand, you do not need to panic. We forgot to estimate when we started the problem, so I'm going to take a moment to do so now to see if my answer is reasonable. 247, I'm going to round to 250. 186, I'm going to round up to 200. 250 minus 200 equals 50. 50 and 60 are close, so I know my answer could be reasonable. All right, class, this is the part of the lesson where you must be thinking failure leads to success. I am planning on having you try this problem over here. I want you to try it. Plan on making a mistake. If you get confused, go back, rewind this video, watch us solve the example again. And I want your work should look just like it does over here in this problem. So rewind, do it step by step, but just look at problems the numbers from number 1. So please do that. When you're finished, you're going to press play and check out how I solved it. So again, you're focusing on the key of excellence, failure leads to success. I know that if you watch this video again while solving number 1, rewind a bit, you can do it. Give it a try. Keep trying, don't give up. All right, now that you've given that a try, let's take a moment while I solve and you can check your work. All right, first I'm going to estimate. I look at 67, or 65, excuse me, and I'm going to round that to 70. 47 is going to round to 50. So 70 minus 50 equals 20. So my answer should be around 20. Again, first I'm going to stack my problem. 67 minus 47. I now get to expand what we did in the first part of the video. 67 expands to 67. Remember, say it out loud and it'll help you expand it. 47 expands to 47. Remember, the reason behind putting our addition symbol in the middle is because 60 plus 7 equals this number. It's just another way of writing it. I'm going to keep moving on. Now that I've expanded it, I'm going to do and subtract the ones. 7 minus 7 equals 0. Keep my plus sign here. 60 now. 60 minus 40 equals 20. Now I'm going to add up my 1s and my 10s. 20 plus 0 equals 20. It just so happens our estimate and our answer are exactly the same. At this point, though, now that you've seen it again, you're not going to change your thinking. You're still going to be thinking failure leads to success as you stop and you're going to solve problems 3 and 4. Again, I cannot stress enough. Please go back, rewind, watch me solve the example problem here, and watch me solve number 1. I know you can solve problems 2 and 3 on your own. I said problems 3 and 4 here on accident. It's actually problem 2 and problem 3. I know you can solve these on your own. When you're done, submit them in Seesaw and press play. This video's not done. Just wait. Welcome back, class. Now that you've submitted your work in Seesaw, I want you to take a look at this next part of our lesson today. A little bit of a review, and I just want to point out some things before we solve some mistakes that I've seen when we were looking at graphs before. So typically we looked and we would have seen, like this has in hip hop, it would have had 1, 2, 3, 4 rectangles. And you are right, it has 4 rectangles. However, the value or the number of favorite music types or the number of children who like hip hop is not 4. We need to look and be very careful that we look at each side of the column so that we can get the units. Each one of these rectangles represents 10, so each time we count, we need to count by 10. 10, 20, 30, 40. So it's really important that we think about that as we're solving graphs. I saw a lot of us ignore that on our last test, and we just looked at the rectangles or the squares and just went with that and didn't see the information that was over here on the side. So look at that carefully. Also notice this one here and this one here is a half a rectangle. So think about what that does and to change the value. Just like I did, it would be a great idea to write each number on each bar here. That's a great way. It helps you solve these problems a little bit faster. When you're done with this page, you do not need to submit it in Seesaw. You do, however, need to submit your math boxes. And remember, please take an excellent picture so I can see your quality work, and that always, from now on, all of our math boxes are submitted in Seesaw. And we are finished. Give you a little cursive. Looking forward to seeing your work in Seesaw. Make sure you're giving awesome feedback to your classmates to help them improve. Remember, in here we are a team.